Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. All right, I'm back. I'm back from working out in the country there where I got no signal. So just getting caught up on the news and stuff. You know, it's kind of interesting that this year's battle cry is Tank for Trevor. Tank for Trevor. Hey man, if you want to win, you need to lose for Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence is or isn't going to be the guy. I don't know. Nobody knows. But when you put all those eggs in that basket, if you end up being there, so be it. Go ahead. If you want to try and move up and do it, okay, that's cool and all that. But you got to understand that there's no guarantee on any quarterback out there. Guys can look great in college and then not so much. Because do you remember what the battle cry was last year? Tank for Tua. Tank for Tua. And I remember having Cowboy fans are saying, oh, screw Dak Prescott. Dak is whack. Dak is dink and dunk. We'll never win with him. We need to tank for Tua. Interesting thing. He hasn't had a terrible year. Okay. He split time, of course, with the bearded wonder, Fitzmagic. Um, but in certain times, the Miami Dolphins kind of backed away from him and put Ryan Fitzpatrick in. Now they've named him as the starter for next year, but there's some anonymous sources from within the team that say they're not sure that he's the guy. Now for the Miami Dolphins, they are very fortunate because they made the trade for Tunsil to the Houston Texans. They end up getting that number one pick, which is the number three pick in the draft. The number three pick in the draft. Think about that. Of course, they have their own first round draft pick, so they're literally playing with house money. If they're not sold on Tua, they can go ahead and say, hey, let's work on trading him, or, if we decide to draft somebody else and get some picks for him, or they can try and get one of the top quarterbacks because there are more quarterbacks that are in here. And that's not to say that any of them are maybe better or not better. But here's the thing that you have to look at. Most people said Tua is a sure thing. Cowboy fans are ready to say, let Dak walk and we'll, do what you got to do to get him. If you reach for that quarterback like that and try and say, we're going to get that guy, very rarely have you seen it actually work out that the people they trade up for end up being the guy for the teams that they're there. Because take a look at the Eagles. Now, the Eagles did go to the Super Bowl, but not with the guy they traded up for, Carson Wentz. They traded with the Browns, who are now pretty deep in the playoffs and look like a young up-and-coming team. They were on the receiving end of that big trade for Carson Wentz. Right now, you look at the Eagles, and their roster is bloated with underperforming veterans and is in the second worst cap situation in the NFL. So you got to look at that and say, it didn't really work. And you can go through with like the Jets. I'm trying to remember who the Jets ended up trading for to move up for Sam Darnold. Who did they trade with? Colts? Maybe the Colts. I can't remember, but they traded up, and you look at the position that right now the Jets are in. 2 years after making the big trade, thinking that Sam Darnold is the guy, he may not be the guy, and here you are ready to have to draft another one. So when we come to having Dak Prescott, here's the thing that you get with him. He's a known commodity. You know that going through his statistics, 2016 was great. 2017 had the sophomore slump. 2018, we got better after we got Amari Cooper. 2019, his numbers still grew. 2020, before he got hurt, he was playing off the charts. The old saying is, a bird in the hand beats two in the bush. And as I look around with teams that are quarterback hungry, You can look at the Denver Broncos that, since Peyton Manning, have been crap. They even got one of the guys that we thought we wanted, Paxton Lynch. Yeah. Could you imagine if we had gotten Paxton Lynch instead of Dak Prescott? Or remember back a few years when everybody talked about Johnny Manziel was going to be the guy and that Jerry Jones was truly in love with getting him? Could you imagine if we had drafted Johnny Manziel instead of Zach Martin? Yeah. The thing you have to understand as we get ready for the draft, and believe me, everything from today forward is getting ready for the draft and free agency, is not to fall in love with the hype. The hype is always going to be there. And just like, tank for Tua last year or tank for Trevor, next year will be somebody else. And more times than not, the teams that tank are still in the tank. Not doing real good with that. So that's where we are with that. Like I said, I'm just getting back and getting caught up on stuff. I just wanted to put my thoughts in here on that one. And part of the reason is, of course, people look and say, well, Dak Prescott, if you want $39 or $40 million, let him walk. We can just get anybody. And I'm kind of sitting there thinking like, Dak is at least a top 7 quarterback, at least. We had a lot of people that said, Andy Dalton, let's go ahead and re-sign Andy Dalton. That's not much of a change up. Andy Dalton's numbers were around 26 in the NFL. The one thing you must have in the NFL, it's not the be-all, end-all, but if you don't have a quarterback, it gets to be really hard. You must first start and have a quarterback. And you've got a guy who absolutely, positively loves the team, works his ass off, as Philly 500 would say, has literally gotten better and better every year. Was a top quarterback that you never really paid. And for all those that say, oh, well, you can't pay him because then you can't pay other people. Dudes, you had 4 years of not paying him. 4 years where you paid him $5 million total. So I don't want to hear that, we can't sign people, because you had the opportunity to sign people while he was underpaid. And now it's time to get this guy under contract, in the fold, get this deal first year as friendly as possible, and get ready to get into free agency. So that's all I got to say about that. Hope you guys are doing well. Got to get out here and get going on some of these racks and do some other stuff down in the man cave and get caught up with the Dallas Cowboys and bring you the latest. I'll catch you later.